Whenever you're ready, Fabia. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna start letting people in.
Sure. Thank you.
That's it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the session. We're so glad you're here with us today. Before we get started, just a quick bit of housekeeping. If you haven't already, can you please rename yourself with your name and organization? It helps us know who's in the room and makes it much easier to continue today's conversation after we leave the Zoom room. So we'll give a little bit of time and we'll also wait for others to come in. Welcome. For those who just came in, if you can please rename yourself with your name and then your organization, that would be very helpful. So just like Linda, Bella, myself, Paul, Adugna. Thank you. All right, we will start the session in about a minute. Alrighty. Okay. Hello again, everybody, and welcome. We're so glad you've carved out time to be with us today. Before we get started, again, just a bit of housekeeping. If you haven't yet, if you can please rename yourself with your name and organization, it's very helpful to help us know who's in the room and makes it much easier to continue today's conversations long after we leave the Zoom room. For those I'm meeting for the first time, hello, my name is Rod. I'm joining you from Manila. I am the community choreographer at Pollinate Impact, where I get to create spaces like this for impact incubators and accelerators like yourself to learn from one another, exchange ideas, and navigate the joys and challenges of impact incubation together. And to our returning pollinators, I see some of you here. Welcome back. Next slide, please, Kavya. If you are new to Pollinate Impact, consider this your invitation to join our growing community of impact incubators and accelerators from across the Global South. Throughout the year, we bring members together through practical learning sessions, collective activity action teams, office hours, funding opportunities, peer exchange, and gatherings like this one. If you're looking for a community that learns with each other, not just from each other, we'd absolutely love to have you. So the membership link is on the QR code and the link as well. We'll send it as well on the chat. All right. Next slide, please. All right, today's session is also part of our Pathways to Financial Resilience series, where from July through September, we're exploring one big question. What does it actually take for an impact incubator and accelerator to thrive and not just survive? We've been looking at financial resilience from different angles because we know there isn't one silver bullet. It's about fundraising, partnerships, storytelling, organizational strategy, and making thoughtful decisions about where to focus your time and energy. And speaking of what's coming up, we'd love to keep seeing you over the next few weeks in our upcoming events. Next week, we have a community hot seat where members bring real financial sustainability challenges, and we tap into the collective wisdom of the network through these community hot seats. On August 4th, if you are still considering coming to the Global Potluck this October 5 to 7, we'll be introducing more about it and giving you a taste of what is in store for Manila this October. And later in August, we'll also have our Pollinators Toolkit, the 4 Impact Approach to Better Fundraising for Incubators, where we'll dive into a practical fundraising framework from 4 Impact, the organization, to help you tell your organization's fundraising story more clearly and confidently. So if today's session sparked something for you, there's plenty more to look forward to in the series, and we hope you can join us. You can check more details out on the website under events to find out more about this and register for these events. Now on to today's session. Growth Tech Labs is one of the sessions we committed to because we've noticed that working with incubators is that you're always in motion, right? You're running programs, you're supporting entrepreneurs, you're meeting with partners, writing proposals, managing teams, putting out fires, and somehow trying to think strategically in between all of that. Sometimes it feels like the work never really pauses long enough to ask, how's our organization actually doing? Not the entrepreneurs, not the programs, not this quarter's deliverables, us. Because growth isn't always about adding another program or chasing another opportunity. Sometimes growth looks like stepping back long enough to notice what's already happening. What's working really well? Where do we keep getting stuck? What's quietly draining our team's energy? And if we could only improve 1 or 2 things over the next year, what would actually make the biggest difference? That's exactly the space we're hoping to create today. This isn't a performance review nor an audit, and it's definitely not about trying to get a perfect score. It's simply an opportunity to zoom out and reflect on your organization with a bit more intention than we usually get to in our day-to-day work. Today, you'll get to experience Pollinate Impact Self-Diagnostic Toolkit, developed through our growth guidance program and informed by more than 20 years of working alongside social incubators in different contexts around the world. It explores many of the challenges we all know well: governance, funding, sustainability, leadership, teams, impact measurement, and all the wonderfully messy realities of growing an organization. But today isn't only about hearing us talk about the tool, you're actually going to get to use it. You'll have time to reflect on your own organization, identify where you feel confident, where you might be feeling stretched, and hopefully walk away with 1 or 2 priorities worth bringing back to your team. We'll also be doing something a little special. 1 participant will be selected for a live growth guidance walkthrough with Paul Basil, our special advisor at Pollinate Impact and one of our growth guidance coaches, so we can all see what it looks like to move from reflection into practical next steps. Personally, I really love this session because I think we don't give ourselves enough permission to pause and reflect. So because we're so busy helping other organizations grow that we rarely stop to ask what our own organizations needs. So hopefully for today, you leave with a little more clarity, a little more confidence, and maybe 1 conversation you're excited to have with your team after this. So just talk a little bit about our agenda for today. We're doing our welcome right now. We are going to do a little check-in, and then we'll walk through the actual toolkit together. And then each of the organizations will have their diagnostic exercise. You will get a time to actually use the diagnostic toolkit. And then we'll go through the spotlight with Paul. We'll do some harvests and then we'll check out. So I'm really excited for us to start, and to get us started and warmed up, let's do our check-in. So if we can go to the next slide, please. All right. So we'll do breakout rooms for this one. We will be in breakout rooms of 2 or 3 people. And in your breakout rooms, if you can please share 1, your name, your organization, your role, and then the other question is, what's 1 thing you're hoping to take away from this session and why? So you all signed up for this, you all read the description, and we're excited to sign up. So we'd love to know, or we're curious to know, what you're hoping to take away from the session. So sorry, let me just copy the questions. Give me 1 moment. So that, there you go. So that you can take it with you in your breakout groups. All right. Once we are ready, Kavya.
Okay, I'm gonna open the rooms now.
Thank you.
Hi, Alejandro.
Hi, Kavya. Sorry that I'm not feeling like super
No
well, so
worries.
so
Yeah,
I
I
just
heard.
I just like just um yeah leave the group. I
No
think
worries.
I think Paul just grabbed me and I will give me a sec. Thank
No worries.
Alejandro, I'm sorry to hear you're feeling unwell. Thanks for still
Yeah,
joining.
I don't know if it was the heat, but I just Paul just replied to my message, and I'm going to disconnect. I don't know if the
Yeah,
heat
yeah, please
or
go ahead.
what. And
Oh,
yeah,
it might be. Yeah. Uh, please stay hydrated, rest.
thank thank you, Ruth, and thank you for organizing the
No
session. And
worries.
sorry for jumping out.
No, no problem. No problem.
Yeah.
Get well
Bye,
soon.
bye, Kavya,
Bye.
Bye.
Take care,
bye, bye.
Alejandro.
So, Kavya, for the next part, we're gonna need to um assign them per organization. So I think most of them are like by themselves,
Right.
except for Muzambiringa, who I think has 3 participants.
Okay, should I keep the breakout rooms open because the time is up?
Oh, yeah, let's close it. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
I'll need your help with segregating it, Rod.
Sure. Then maybe I can do that while Paul is talking.
Yeah.
So no worries. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
sure. Thank you. Come back. Just wait for the others to come in. I'm just waiting for the other people to come in. If they're coming back. All right. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a good check-in with people you were able to speak to. I'm gonna about to turn it over to Paul, but before I do that, if I can please ask those who have not put their organization yet next to their name, can you please put your organization just so that we know when we're creating the breakout rooms for the next activity, if we're putting you together with your colleagues, if you are coming in alone as well, since you'll be using the diagnostic toolkit after this. So we'll really need to know what organization you are coming from. Please and thank you. Okay, so I'm glad you all had a good time with your check-ins. Now I will turn it over to Paul to introduce himself and then also take us through the diagnostic toolkit. Paul, over to you.
Thanks, Rod. Like many of you, I did incubation. Incubation was the core work that I was doing. I did that for 20 years. And in the process, or as part of that, I founded an incubator called Villgro in India, and was very fortunate to grow it, expand it to Southeast Asia and Philippines, to Africa, train a whole bunch of incubators across the world, and ultimately led to inspiring the founding of Pollinate Impact with many other incubators like Impact Hub and Miller Center and many others. So very delighted to be here. But I also am part of a venture capital fund, an impact investment fund that offers growth stage capital to early growth companies who are impactful. So we do $1 million to $2 million ticket size. So fortunate to have been on both sides of an early stage enterprise, which is actually pitching for capital, but also on the other side of seeing companies and investing in them. So that's really a very brief introduction about me. Back to you, Rod.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. I will just open our Incubator Diagnostic Toolkit. So now we will go through a walkthrough of what the toolkit is. Paul will give a little bit of context, and then after that we will go through the. So I'll turn it back to you, Paul.
Sure, thanks. So can you make this a bit bigger, Rod? Thank you. So we've been guiding incubators through the growth guidance program, the details of which we will talk about a bit later. But incubators were coming to us with specific challenges, and they were seeking guidance, especially at strategic levels, operating levels, across issues like fundraising, issues like leadership development, issues like how can we strengthen our mentoring program, or how can we strengthen the overall incubation program, or even issues like I'm sector agnostic now, but I want to become a gender specific incubator. How do I do that? So people have been coming to us with a variety of issues. And when that started happening we've been guiding these incubators in different forms and shapes over the last 18 months. And as a result of all of this, we said what seems to be missing is a diagnostic, which is quite objective, without any subjectivity, objective, driven by evidence, to assess where an incubator stands today. With that objective diagnostic and assessment, our belief is that it can help incubators chart their pathways as they move forward. So it is with that, in that context, we went ahead and built this tool. But see this tool as a way of honest reflection of where your incubation stands. Don't see it as a evaluatory tool or an auditory tool, but look at it as a reflection of where you stand today. Therefore, because of that, there are no right or wrong answers. You will generate a whole lot of insights when you go through this, which will help you understand where you stand today and where you should prioritize and focus as you move forward. As you can see from the screen, this framework addresses 7 functional areas that matter to incubators. It focuses on your capabilities, processes, and systems, because the assumption is that if you're capable, if the processes and systems are strong, your outcomes will be extremely strong. Outcomes in the sense of the value add that you will offer to your incubatee companies and their success in creating better jobs, in creating greater impact, in becoming more investable, in becoming more profitable, faster, etc., etc. So it's less about outcomes, but more about capabilities, processes, and systems, because the assumption is that if you have it, your outcomes will get better. It also uses a maturity lens, which means it focuses on at what level of in that continuum from being a very fragile to a leading incubator. So if you have a very matured process, you're more in the leading category. But if you're really weak in that area, you're really fragile, and therefore immediate attention is required. So essentially, this framework covers 7 functional areas. It focuses on capabilities. It focuses on maturity levels. So when you take this in the next couple of minutes, I wanted to take you through one of them. For example, let's go to the strength of incubation and acceleration role. This has various worksheets, but 7 of them. Under each, there are 6 diagnostic statements. All what you need to do is score them from 1 to 5, and I'll talk about how you should score. But look at each of these statements. This is around strengthening the strength of your incubation model. So if your incubation model has clearly defined what type of startup it supports, then you are at 5. If you haven't defined it, and if you're loose about it, very opportunistic about it, you are at 1. Similarly, if you have a very strong mentor selection process, then you are at 5. And if you don't, you are at 1. So basically, each diagnostic statement, you should score on a 1 to 5 rating. And what 1 to 5 means is, if you could move towards the right of this document, Rod. Yeah. So what 1 to 5 means is, 1 means it's not in place at all. You don't have an approach, you don't have a practice, you don't have a system, you don't have a strategy. 5 means you have an excellent strategy that has been tried, tested repeatedly, and is working. And a set of good practices around it. So strategy, process, systems all exist, tried, tested, proven. That's 5. And then across that 1 to 5 continuum, you have gradients of it, and it's clearly outlined here. So that's the scoring, and each diagnostic statement needs to be scored. We have 7 dimensions. As you see, each worksheet is one of those 7. Under each, there are 6 sub-dimensions. So overall, you have to read these 42 statements and score them on a scale of 1 to 5. And while you're doing that, what I would really suggest is, as you read each statement, think about what's happening at your incubator. Don't get carried away by your emotions. Look at your data. Look at specific examples of recent experiences that support a statement or negate a statement. And make sure that you're scoring based on some evidence that you have. I would also suggest that look at that evidence which is most recent, which means last 6 months if possible. Looking at something that happened 12 months back or 2 years back doesn't make sense because it might exist today, it might not. So look at more recent evidences to assess the performance of your incubator. Now, today's session, you might be representing you might be the only person representing your incubator. But after the session, please go back and also get other leadership team members at your incubator take this, because one of the things that we've seen is the leadership at an incubator might have their own different perspectives around where they stand. For example, let's take this point number 2 here on fundraising. The CEO might believe that they have a good mix of donors. The fundraising team member, the lead, might believe that their diversity is not great, which means if you need to really create a coherent strategy going forward, you need to align the CEO's thoughts with the fundraising lead's thoughts. And then you can really prioritize a coherent, cogent strategy around fundraising and the type of target donors to really focus on. So the point that I was making was, once you get back to your work, please share this framework, this diagnostic with other team leads at your incubator. Get them to take it, see how they're seeing things differently or whether they're aligned. If they're not aligned, this becomes a great opportunity to align people around your challenges, because unless you align them, you can't really create a solutioning pathway. As I mentioned, this tool is just to tease out your strengths, identify gaps and blind spots, but also to align areas of wherever you're misaligned among your team members with regard to where you stand with regard to your capabilities, processes, and systems. And our belief is that if you did that, and you know where where you stand, then you can, do a course correction. And that's where this growth guidance program, which we'll talk about later, will come into play. But the start of that is really doing a reflection and doing a self-diagnosis. But with that, I'll turn it over to Ron.
Thank you, Paul. So now that we've learned a little bit more about the diagnostic toolkit, I am happy to send it over to all of you so that you can also try it out and fill out the toolkit. So I will send 2 versions. One is an Excel version, and then the other one is a Google Sheet. So if it's the Google Sheet that you are picking, please make sure to file and make a copy so that you are able to actually fill out the numbers in each of the tabs. So again, just to reiterate for those who may have come in after Paul has started, there are 7 dimensions within the toolkit, and then what we'll do now is for you to go through the toolkit and fill out each of these dimensions so that we can get a good summary of your current standing in terms of your self-diagnosis. So we will give 12 minutes and we will put you in your own breakout rooms as organizations. So for example, I know there's a few people from Mozambique who is here, so I'll put you in one room. You can decide how you'd like to fill it out, whether as a group or you do individually, and then compare, as Paul mentioned. So either would work, depends on the time right now that we have. So I will leave it to you to pick how you want to do that if you have teammates with you on the call. I just want to see a show of hands, thumbs up if you're able to access either of the 2, whether that's the Google Sheet or the Excel, and you're able to download it. You can give me a thumbs up if you have it already. Or let me know on the chat if you've downloaded it. All good. Thank you. Thank you, Atul. Everyone else, all good? Any questions? Thank you, Rob. All right. If there are no more questions, I will be opening the breakout rooms. Thanks, Mildred. And then we will give 12 minutes for you to go through the toolkit. So I will be visiting each of your rooms just to make sure that everything is going smoothly. You can also raise your hand just in case you have any questions. So, all right, I will now open the rooms and enjoy your time taking the toolkit, the diagnostic toolkit. Hi, Nasser. Should have gotten your invite to the breakout rooms. Paul, Kavya, I'll just go around and check on the breakout rooms.
Okay, sure. Paul, I'll just be back in about 2 minutes. Need to use the washroom.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hey, Raj, should we close the rooms?
I think there are two more people who are still working, so maybe 1 more minute and then we'll go back.
Okay.
Paul, we're in a bit of a pickle because those who might have been good for the toolkit, I don't think they'll have enough time to answer everything. The one choice for the spotlight is Ato from Academic City, although he just entered into the role. So I know he's the head, but like he hasn't been in the role for more than 2 months, I think. So I don't know if we can go through with a spotlight. It's my
Okay. Okay, so maybe we'll do the case study.
you want to do two of the case studies?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, great. And then we can dedicate more time for the reflections too.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Actually, why don't you start with the reflections?
Yeah.
And then we'll go to the case study.
Got it. All right, I will be closing the rooms. Welcome back, Mildred and Celestine. Kavya, can you? Yes, thank you so much. You read my mind.
No worries.
We'll just wait for the others to come in. We have about 30 seconds.
And it'll be also interesting to hear the total scores, just one question around. Is it fragile? Is it, that single word that'll be useful.
Right. Got it.
As a third, as yours, one is type your answer in the chat, and that's reflection in one insight. But then as a second question there, if they could say, what's the total score? And therefore, what do they find themselves in? Just to get a sense of where people stand.
Got it. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a reflective time going through the diagnostic toolkit. I know some of you may have not finished it yet, but that's fine. No pressure at all. We just wanted to do a quick check-in in terms of maybe an insight or realization you're walking away with after completing or at least going through the diagnostic during the session. So we'd love for you to type your answer in the chat. You don't have to wait for my signal. You can share it. And then another thing is, if you have completed it, if you can share maybe your score, and then what does it say? Is it fragile, emerging? Are you doing well? We'd love to know, just to see. That'll be great for us to just kind of look at and reflect on as well. So anytime you are ready, we'll give 1 minute. You can think about the insight and realization, and you can let us know where you are in terms of the diagnosis. Fragile, emerging, doing well. So let me just set up my timer. We'll give 1 minute.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, Ato. Yes.
There I go.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Yes, please.
Okay, great. So hello, everyone. Joining this from Ghana, Academic City. We are a private university based in Ghana, mostly focusing on STEAM related courses as well, and trying to build future-ready entrepreneurial leaders. At ACT, we have a tech and entrepreneurship center, which has become, since I've joined just this July, it's become one of my responsibilities. So I filled it to the best of my knowledge. I think I'm realizing that I don't have as much information, about the center. So I need to get this from other colleagues who have been working on this for, the past few years. But we are mostly emerging. we are mostly emerging. But for the leadership and talent development, we are strong. I think on average, our team here is, we have some heavy hitters on our team. So I think for leadership development, we are strong, and then the other ones, we are emerging. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Atul. Anybody else want to share quick insights? Sorry, Nasser, I see that you've unmuted. I don't know if you'd like to share. Hello? Okay, might not be. But again, if you have any insights or realizations, you can share it on the chat. But for now, I think also if you have your scores, just like what Ato mentioned, emerging, strong, fragile, that will be nice to know. We'd love to find out where you are in terms of your self diagnosis. But maybe for now, while we wait, I hope you are typing up your realizations and insights. I will give the floor back to Paul to take us through the growth guidance program. So just to maybe give quick context on this, the Growth Check Labs is really our way to introduce the diagnostic toolkit to make it easier for organizations to assess themselves. And then once they have a good assessment of where they might need work or where there are challenges and opportunities for growth, Pollinate Impact offers a program called the Growth Guidance Program. And Paul will tell us more about what that program entails, how long, and the costs as well. So Kavya, if we can move to the next slide for next, please. Next, one more. Yes, go ahead, Paul.
Right. So, as I mentioned earlier, once you're clear about your challenges, it becomes very, very important to prioritize which ones do you want to work on and solve, because you can't solve all your challenges at the same time. So it becomes important to stagger them across the next 2 to 3 years. And that itself is needs to be done very thoughtfully, purposefully, intentionally, is one part. Once you define whether it's a fundraising challenge, whether it's a financial sustainability challenge, whether it is to strengthen your core incubation, whether it is a leadership challenge, what then needs to be done is when you enter growth guidance program. The growth guidance program is effectively diagnosis. The challenge goes deep, really dives deep into that particular challenge area. For example, if you're talking about fundraising, why are you not raising significant funds? Is it an internal capability issue? Is it a targeting issue of the type of donors? Is it just because you don't have built the relationships that is required? Is it because you're not able to measure and communicate impact to potential donors? Is it because you don't have an exclusive fundraising person? There could be hundreds of reasons why you are unable to become strong and emerging or strong in that particular area. So the first part of GGP, Growth Guidance Program, is it diagnoses. Then it moves to designing solutions, high levels of design. And then once design happens, we convert that into an action plan. All of this is done through a 3-month sprint across 3 months with 6 sessions, and each session with a gap of 2 weeks in between them, so that the sessions serve as a common brainstorming, common diagnosing platform. And then it leaves enough time between the sessions for you to do your readings, to start thinking about ideas, and then putting those ideas to shape so that you come back for the next session. And then, we debate what you've done and what you've thought through, whether it's a problem analysis or a solutioning analysis. So that's how the program gets delivered across 3 months. We've done that now for 5 cohorts, and each cohort roughly had participants starting from 5 incubators to up to 12 incubators. So we've had 5 cohorts, around 173 odd sessions, those 6 sessions per incubator thing that I was talking about, delivered to around 26 incubators from over 20 countries. So at this point, we have a good sense of the challenges, the issues, the context across the globe and across different types of incubators, climate incubators versus healthcare incubators versus agnostic incubators. So we have a good sense of what some of those challenges are. So in fact, it's actually getting easier for us because we've solved some of these problems in other places. I wouldn't say solve, I would say taken the first step to solve some of these problems that are affecting incubators across. It's actually giving us the energy and the motivation to actually now build an AI-driven guidance platform, because we believe that there's no way to scale up guidance to serve more incubators if it is human dependent, and these sessions are delivered by a guide. So, we're thinking about scaling it up. Can you move to the next slide, please? And this is the structure that I mentioned. We have 1-hour guidance sessions, around 6 sessions over a time span of 3 months. And, basically between each session, the 2 weeks that you have, you actually think through, do planning, do reading, do ideation, etc., so that the issue at hand is really, we create a strong plan to solve the issue at hand. Next one. So this is an example of how these sessions unfolded. This is a food incubator in West Africa. And they have a whole lot of services and support for food entrepreneurs. One of the challenges that they were facing was their revenues weren't growing. And we started looking at their financials. And when we started looking at their financials, we started realizing, and so in this first session, we really spend time understanding the context, why they're doing what they're doing, and so on and so forth. In the second session, we really looked at their financial performance, which means their P&L, their balance sheet, and so on and so forth. That gave us a whole lot of insights on what the numbers are and why the numbers are, which allowed in the next session for us to deep dive into why revenues were dropping. That actually led us to believe that it is a problem. The problem is what is called a product market fit, which is the services of the incubator really not in demand among the entrepreneurs. So how do you now align the services of the incubator with the needs of the entrepreneurs? Because entrepreneurs have other choices. So unless this incubator really fine-tunes its offerings and really makes it differentiated and unique, there's no way entrepreneurs are going to come to it. So to do that, we spend a lot of time. The incubators spend a lot of time in the 2 weeks between these sessions to go to their customers, ask them what they found good in this incubator, where they found weaknesses, and so on and so forth, which allowed us to segment and sharpen our value proposition in session 5. And then once we did that, we went again and tested this among potential entrepreneurs, potential food entrepreneurs of these incubators. All of that led to a synthesis and creating a roadmap in which they went ahead and actually implemented a set of revised plans. So this is the kind of work that we do over 3 months, over 6 sessions, fixing a problem that this particular incubator had and hopefully turning it around. Maybe the results can't be seen in 3 months, but over 6, 9, 12 months, we are hoping that some of those results can be seen. So that's one example. Can you move to the next one? Now, this is another example of a climate incubator in Southeast Asia. Now, they're working in the climate space with early stage entrepreneurs, but the challenge was, how do they move beyond grounds to look to pursue a much better financial sustainability. And to do that, they had to start building alternate revenue models beyond grants. So in session 1, we did a lot of discussion around what are alternate revenue models possible. Is it co-working space? Is it trainings? Is it consulting? Is it equity investments in companies? Is it revenue share with these companies? Is it a small debt fund that you can actually offer capital and give back? Is it just membership fees for members to actually participate in convenings and networking events that this incubator was organizing? Things like that. So you spent a lot of time in session 1 thinking about, session 2, thinking about these different revenue models and looking at viability, feasibility of all of that. That actually led to session 3, where we started putting numbers to these revenue models. So how many entrepreneurs can you serve? What kind of pricing? Therefore, what revenue in quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, which led to an annual revenue plan and assumption. And once you have your revenue line items defined, you could easily go and figure out what costs to incur to achieve those revenues. So session 4 was spent on defining the cost line items. What kind of staffing do you need? What kind of basic infrastructure do you need? What kind of internet facility do you need? What kind of subscriptions do you need? Maybe you need subscriptions in certain platforms in order to obtain licenses, be it Amazon Web Services and so on and so forth. Session 5 put that whole model together, and both your incomes and costs, and therefore now profitability. And then it was converted in section 6 into a very specific, measurable, time-bound plan, because you had to go after those revenue items. To go after those revenue items, you probably needed to hire the right people and all of that. All of these activities now were converted across months and quarters into a very time-bound 12-month plan. That's where we ended, with the intent that if they implemented this plan, they would start demonstrating newer revenue models and therefore creating the foundation to start pursuing alternate revenue models and achieving better financial sustainability, thinking beyond grants. So that is the second example. And we're happy to share more subsequently, but next slide, please. So essentially, all of this is very intense, guided by very experienced people who've done incubation for long. So there is a cost to this. And however, we've actually been very thoughtful about creating a pricing mechanism which is linked to budgets of organizations. So if you are a relatively small budget incubator, which many are, that's sub of 100,000, we have 149 USD. And then if you are really fairly more stable, slightly bigger budget incubator, we're talking about 999. And then from non-members, we have a different price. But if you wanted to become a member and then apply for growth guidance, you're most welcome. But don't take the membership just to get this discount. I think you will benefit from by being a member with a variety of programs and offerings of Pollinate just beyond growth guidance. So I would think you should do this thoughtfully because membership comes at a cost, also at a price. So you need to factor in all of that. But the limited point that I wanted to make is this is the fee structure, but linked to budgets of your organization. The next slide, please. So if you go to the website of growth guidance of Pollinate, and there is a set of pages on coaching and mentoring, and you will hit the growth guidance pages there. If you press this link, you will go to the application form. So after doing this diagnostic and subsequent discussions internally with your colleagues and team members or CEOs and all of that, if you do think that growth guidance is of value to you, we're happy to support please do apply, because the next cohort begins in September. We've also scheduled a cohort for February. So depending on your convenience, we're happy to have you join the September cohort or the February cohort.
Great.
Next slide, please.
I think that's the last slide.
Okay, cool.
Paul. Anyways, thank you, Paul, for going through the growth guidance program. And I think one other thing is, if you finish the diagnostic toolkit and you'd like a little bit of guidance from Paul, we do have a free one-on-one clinic with him available. It's 30 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, Paul, with 30 minutes, yes, with Paul. And I'm sending now the link to this. So it's a calendar. You can set some time with him to go through the toolkit a little bit, experience what 60 minutes. Sorry, I stand corrected. So a 60-minute clinic with Paul. This is kind of like an appetizer, a teaser towards what an actual growth guidance session will look like, or at least a starting process of the growth guidance program. So if you bring your diagnostic toolkit, you can go through it with Paul and focus on 1 to 2 challenges that you have based on the dimensions that you answered. So I would highly recommend you to book this so that you can try it out, again, at no cost. And then if it's something that you feel is valuable for your organization, you can go ahead and apply for either the September or February cohort of growth guidance. Right. I know we've said a lot. We want to make sure we want to open the floor for any questions. If any of you have any questions about the program, the toolkit, the clinic, now is the time to ask your questions. So feel free to unmute, raise your hand, or chat your question. And maybe while you're thinking of your questions, I also just launched the feedback form. This will help us in improving our sessions. If you could help us answer this, please, that would be much appreciated. Do you have any questions? I have one, Paul, just maybe to clarify this. So within the growth guidance program, you are only one of the many coaches, right, of this one. And so the challenges that the incubators will bring up will determine which coach will be matched with them. Is that correct?
Correct. So Rod, if you can cast the Pollinate website.
Sure. Give me a minute.
So as Rod mentioned, for the benefit of all in this convening, we have assembled a lineup of very interesting people who, as I mentioned, who have deep experience in actually running incubators and incubation programs. So these people represent multiple countries, geographies, and they're very competent people who've had tremendous years of experience. So for example, Arun has been a chief technology officer. He started his career as chief technology officer in a healthcare company in the US, but has built and supported many healthcare companies. And ultimately, he actually was CTO and healthcare lead of healthcare incubation at an incubator. Chris Odongo actually runs a company called While and has been supporting small businesses, coaching, mentoring clinics for them for quite a long time. Jessica Stewart is a leadership coach and an expert and has been guiding a whole lot of mid-level talent grow to senior level talent positions. So she's kind of a leadership coach, as you will see here. Can you just scroll down? Paul Belknap is part of the Miller Center of Social Entrepreneurship, a pretty well-renowned incubator who's been in existence since 2001. Paul has also traveled and based himself in multiple geographies. He's actually been in Africa, he's been in India, and now he's in the US. So he has multi-geography experience and expertise in guiding companies. Now, Sridhar Ramanathan here is also an expert in medical device incubation. So all of these people transcend different geographies, different countries, different sectors, a wide range of experience. So great set of people to be supporting you, and a safe pair set of hands to be guiding you, coaching you to become much more successful.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. Sounds very exciting. All right. So for now, I hope you are answering the feedback form. Thank you for those who've already sent it. We hope that the toolkit is going to be useful in your reflection with your organizations. At the same time, I have sent the links to both the page of the Growth Guidance Program for you to learn more, as well as the clinic that you can book with Paul for an hour session. We will also be sending all of these links, of course, to your emails as part of our thank you emails, as well as the recording. So as for those who were asking about the recording in the slides, no worries. We will be sending that as part of that email as well. So again, last call. If we have any questions, I just want to make sure all the curiosities and clarifications are all good before we formally end our session for today.
I'd just like to get a sense, a show of hands, how many here have a problem or a challenge that they think growth guidance can solve? Just a quick vote.
Maybe a thumbs up or a raise of hands. There we go. Thank you. I'm guessing they're still mulling over, Paul. There.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Again, we hope that the tool is useful, and let us know if you have any feedback about the tool as well. Please let us know. That is definitely something that we appreciate, and as we also improve it. I have heard that from the breakout rooms that it is something that you are currently trying to discover more about and want to learn more about. So again, you can let us know if there's any feedback that you have. And we hope to see you in a future cohort of growth guidance. Or in the clinics with Paul one of these months. So thank you again for your time and your effort for joining today. We hope you have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you in our next convenings. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.